Hey guys, kia ora, good morning. So, for the last couple of days, I've been seeing this image in my head, and I asked what it was, and what I was told, because I'm trying to think of the ending for the Quantum Menace, the Legend of Heracles, the ending for it, and in order to do that, like how we're going to win the war with Heracles, how we're going to win this war, and basically, the Quantum Menace Part 2 starts with the end of the Quantum Menace Part 1 when Heracles comes down after they pull the rug out to reveal that the arena was an illusion, and Art Morda and all of that, which ended up being like Elon Musk and all the people that helped him, the minions and that, fall into the abyss, and then that's when Heracles lands, and then so he's like the end of boss fight, so to speak, but it ends, it cuts, and then like you have to wait for part 2 to come out. Part 2 basically starts at the beginning and goes backwards to the beginning of the creation of Heracles, the brain in the jar, so to speak. So I've been thinking, okay, so like how are we going to defeat him, how is this going to end, that sort of thing. And and thinking about that, I started getting this image, and it kept reminding me of the universe being brought to you by the letter K, because it's talking about the quantum menace, the battle of two worlds, the battle of good versus evil, because obviously we're talking about the end of the old world and the birth of the new, and Vladimir Putin getting the new world. He's like helping birth the creation of the new world, whereas Heracles is the reason for the destruction of the old world. Donald Trump being Heracles. I figured it all out later on, who all the key characters were in the Quantum Menace based on real life events. And then it brought me to this, the battle of two worlds, because I've been asking the council and God and that, like, how are the two worlds actually going to split? And it's like, I literally just put up a tweet in response to somebody talking about the magic of the numbers 1 and 7, and all these people praising Donald Trump after he lands here and he's been treated like a king and all this sort of thing. And so I was saying to God in that, like, how are people going to wake up from this if they're saying he's here to replace King Charles and that? How is he going to be a split between the two worlds? And then, of course, if you see what I've been posting since this morning, you can actually see the divide. And then somebody, I'll put the link in the description box below, made a comment about these series of numbers and ended it with 1 and 7. And I said 1 plus 7 equals 8, which means infinity. And when you look at the infinity symbol, it looks like exactly how you would describe the split of two worlds. And I was talking about how basically these two sides, good versus evil, you're on the side of Russia. You're either on the side of Russia, who are trying to save the children and rescue the children from the adrenochrome factories and that, or you support Israel, who are the reason why the kids are being trafficked, because Russia just made a huge bust from an adrenochrome supply from tens of thousands of children that were taken from Gaza and Syria and the Ukraine and all of that. It's all there. It's all there on my thing. I'll put the links, but it is, all the recent links that are going to be on before this video goes up. So I was saying the split of two worlds, how is it going to happen? And it's basically the people who wake up versus the people who don't. And the people who wake up versus the people who don't, there's going to be a split and a divide in the minds of those who wake up and realise the truth of why they're going after Russia, or those who go to sleep and end up basically going down with those who support Epstein and what they're doing in Palestine. if you support the war in Ukraine, if you're covering up for Epstein, if you're doing the whole Epstein on the side of Epstein and covering up for Trump and Starmer and all of that, and you're in support of Israel and you're in support of what's happening in Palestine, that's the old world. That's the world that's gonna die. That's the one that's gonna die out. And it's the split of two worlds: those who wake up and those who go down for being asleep, and they're puppet masters basically. So this here is the split of two worlds, and what this is what I was told, right? That's the universe, that's the Big Bang, okay? And this is the universe expanding, moving forward since the Big Bang, right? And like, we're in here. Planet Earth is here. Our solar system is there. And we're, hurtling towards evolution if we get it right. However, what's happening is, if you look at it from a larger perspective, for those who don't wake up, this here is the new world and that there is the split. And what this is, I said, well, what's this? And they said, that is the expansion of the very first thing that came out of the Big Bang. They evolved so fast, like what you would call aliens, and that they evolved so fast that their whole universe that came before us expanded beyond us, and they need room to grow. So they're pushing back, and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, which is pushing us further and further and further back into what will then end up becoming a black hole and sucking us into it, and that's us gone. Whereas this will just get bigger and grow and grow and grow because they expanded, because they were the ones that were smart enough to figure out that war and killing people is what is devolving us as a species. And when they got out, they created an entire new universe that they're waiting for us to join. I keep saying, like, they're never going to let NASA and SpaceX and that go anywhere near it because they're bad people. Their money comes from bad places, from doing bad things like adrenochrome factories and human trafficking and that. But the ones that are here on the other side, on the bigger universe, they're waiting for us to get it right so that we can build the ships to get permission to go where they are, to be a part of the expanding universe and get off it before the old one dies. My youngest son taught me about the rubber band theory, because we were talking about, he said to me, what do I think's going to happen to the universe? Do I think it's just going to get bigger and bigger, or do I think that it's going to like implode or go backwards? And I said, well, I think that we're going backwards, that we're going to get to a certain point and then go backwards. And he said, yeah, the rubber band theory. So basically, we're evolving as far as we can go before this hits, and we just go patoing all the way back. And it's evident in planets like Saturn, where the rings are starting to break up, and the gas planets and that. The gas planets are the ones that are basically, the gas is all that's left over, because the ones that knew what was happening were smart enough to get off their planets. So they're not anywhere near us. They're not allowed to come near us. We have to be the ones to figure it out to save ourselves. They can't save us. But they give people like me the technology, like my space program, to eventually earn the right to be where they are and be a part of the expanding universe. And that, when you look at it, is the infinity symbol. The old world, the new world, the split of two worlds, the battle of two worlds. What side do you choose to be on right now? Israel or Russia? Old Jerusalem, New Jerusalem. Old Holy Land, New Holy Land. Whose side are you on? Because it's going to matter. Because those who are on the side of the new world, the new Jerusalem, end up here. Because the second coming of Christ ends up running the new government and taking them into the new space age, I think with the help of it was prophecy, the 1200-year prophecy. My daughter, I think, who is the ninth element, is going to end up taking over my space program when I die. And the new world is in Russia, and the old world is Israel, and they're going that way because they kill children and drain their blood. And it's what I've been trying to warn everyone. So I'll put a link in the description box below, because the comment that the woman made was, I think, a biblical event's just taken place. And I was like, yes, that has, like, more than you know. So, yeah, so I just had to put that up there because it's really important that people know. If you're on the side of Russia, you're on the side of good, because he is the one that's trying to stop the harvesting of the children and the organs and the adrenochrome factories and that. And if you're on the side of Israel, Trump, Starmer, Ukraine, Israel, I said Israel, then you're on the side of the ones who are harvesting the organs. Ukraine, Israel, Trump, Starmer, Musk, Macron, NATO, EU. They're all the ones who are going to war with Russia, because he's the one stopping the supply of the children and the organs and the adrenochrome, which is worth a lot of money, which explains it all in the post that I just put up. So, yeah, so I'm just putting this up, and now's the time to decide. You either jump into the light or you fall with the dark people. It's as simple as. Vanta Black, his operation was called Operation Black Vein. And I said to him, oh my God, Vladdy, that's why it was called Vanta Black. My musical rock apocalypse, the zombie apocalypse. So there you go. And I had a dream about zombies the other day. I'll put a link in the description box below. Anyway, I've got to go. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō. Mwah. I support Russia.